Welcome to this Wise Living Water podcast. Our messages are dedicated to guiding individuals towards a closer relationship with our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Dr. Norman Wise is thrilled to embark on this journey with you. Through these podcasts, we aim to provide insightful material that will inspire and uplift your spiritual journey. Join us now as we delve into the teachings of Jesus Christ and explore how we can apply His wisdom to our daily lives. Together, we will reflect on the power of faith, love, and compassion in shaping our existence.
Because, by the way, the mind will respond to you telling yourself the truth rather than giving it illusions. Because you see, the mind already knows. It's just waiting for you, the conscious mind, to stop lying. Just face this. And once you face it, you can grieve. And once you face it, you can process. And once you face it, you can be healed. But you can't solve a problem you deny exists. So you rewrite, you see, your script now. Because you see, most of your vows, commandments, and everything came out of one of these circumstances. And so you rewrite it and you debate any unhealthy conclusions. And you say, wait a minute, when I said I would never give my heart away to any person, that was simply out of my emotional pain. That was not a good thing to do. And I recant that. I'm not going to live that way. I will take the risk again. I will. And then again, we're back into reprogramming. And of course, you're going to deal with what you consider the most important things first. You grieve old wounds and process the pain. It was interesting. I went on a spiritual retreat, and what we were doing was looking at the Beatitudes. And it said in there, blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. And the Lord said to me, Norm, I want you to make a list of all the things you've refused to mourn. Because you see, the way you refuse to mourn something is you refuse to admit it happened. You push it away. So I made this list of things I had refused to mourn, and at the end of that he said, Norm, look how much comfort you lost. Because in each of those I would have comforted you, but I can't comfort you until you cry. And by the way, you will not die of your grief. You will perhaps die for refusal to grieve, because that then comes out in some very unhealthy ways. People do really, really, really not wise things when they refuse to grieve. You know, most of the people on drugs and alcohol are people who have refused to grieve some pain, and they're trying to kill the pain by the use of drugs and alcohol. A lot of angry people are people who have refused to grieve because they won't, grieving is a kind of, soft, you feel vulnerable while you're grieving. So they just get angry at the world. And anger, of course, is this nice adrenaline-building type of emotion. It makes us feel strong. And the thing is, they can't get out of their anger because anger doesn't resolve anything. Anger doesn't get rid of anything. Anger, you can just feed anger until the day you die. It's called bitterness. But you see, grieving, God has said, He doesn't say, I will comfort the angry. No, He didn't say that. He said, I will comfort those who mourn. So if we mourn, we're in a good place. Grieving is a good place to be because God Himself will come and comfort us. And why grieving doesn't lead to depression. Depression is anger turned inside. Okay? So the depression is not too much grieving. It's too much anger. And it's anger turned towards ourselves. Well, we learn from past mistakes. The value of saying, my bad, is, wow, I can see how I made a mistake there, and now I can plan not to do it again. You can't solve a problem that you deny exists. If the reason I did this was your fault, then I don't have anything to change. You made me do this. Yeah. I got angry and I threw my lunchbox and hit you on the head. But you made me do it. Because you were being so rude. You were being so bad. You were calling me names. I just had to do it. And the next time someone makes me mad, I'll throw something else at them. And then I'll go to jail. And I say, can you believe it? You sent me to jail. I can't believe it. You did this to me. No. My bad. Because not everybody that was called a name through a lunch bucket. There's no cause and effect. There's a choice. So I learn from my past mistakes, and that makes me better for the future. And I take notice of God's plan and calling in my life. In other words, I begin to say, wait a minute, God was there. I've been hit 6 times by a car, no broken bones. Wow. My guardian angel is, really bruised up. But, that was God. Any number of times I should have been dead. God was intervening and keeping me safe in all kinds of circumstances and stuff like that. So we begin to take note that God has been involved in our life, our whole life. And by the way, he was involved in our life even before we became Christians, because it was only because he was involved in our life that we became Christians. So we weren't saved and we weren't forgiven at the time, but God was still there moving us in the direction of finding out about Jesus. And of course, once we trusted him, well, he was even more involved in our lives. But you begin to see the bigger picture. That, by the way, what kind of emotion comes if you begin to see that God has been with you since the day you were born up to the present moment? What kind of emotion, if you believe that story and you had made it real by concrete thinking about it, what kind of emotion would most people have if they think that God was involved in their life, their whole life? What kind of emotion does that create? Yeah. You suddenly say, well, I'm safer than I thought I was. God loves me more than I thought he did. There's a security factor. There's an affection factor. I feel significant. The creator of the universe is involved in my life. I don't see God as far off. I see him as close. See, there's all kinds of things. And by the way, if you need help with that, that's one of the things a counselor can do, spiritual director can do. One of the roles of spiritual direction is actually to help people to make sure that they can see God. Sometimes people say, I don't see God. Well, here, you tell me your story, and maybe I'll see God, and maybe that'll help you see God. Once we get to the past, we deal with the past because, you see, as long as the past impacts the decisions you're making in the present, it's not past. As long as what happened before is the basis of you making poor decisions today, then the past isn't past. Does that make sense? So that's why we have to make peace with the past. We have to learn from it. We want to bring the wisdom we gain from it. We want to mourn it. But now we want to live in the here and now, because the here and now is the only thing that exists. What can you do to change the past? Give me several ideas. What can you do to change the past? Come on now. There's a lot of different things we could say here. Huh? Well, we could forgive, but does that change the past? It change really our attitude towards the past, say our present attitude. So we can't really, we should forgive things that have happened. That would be part of it, but that doesn't change the past.
Change the beliefs that are tied into.
Yeah, we can change the beliefs and stuff about the past, but those beliefs are what we're believing now about the past. You see, we can change our perception on the past. We can change all that. We can learn from the past. Do you really know what you can change about the past? Zero. Because it's past. It's dried concrete. My wife, I love her, but she's funny. She'll be watching a movie. Do you know some movies you can predict are going to have sad endings? Some of you know that? Yeah. So she doesn't like movies that have sad endings. So she sees it coming and she turns off the TV set. And I said, what are you doing? First time this happened, I said, what are you doing? Now I know what is happening. I said, first year of marriage, she does this. I go, what are you doing? I'm rewriting the ending. So she rewrote it and gave it a happy ending. Hey, because she says, there's no reason for me to get depressed from a film. That's an illusion. If I'm going to have an illusion, I'll make up my own. I'll make up a happy illusion. Yeah. But you see, the reality is you can't do that with reality, okay? It is what it is, okay? And so we can't change a thing. Now we can forgive people in the present for what they did in the past. That's making peace with the past. We can change our perspective on the past because our perspective might have told us some lies about what happened. We might have been really not facing the reality of the past. We can do that. But the actual events of the past are dry cement. They can't be changed. The only thing I can change is in this moment. I can change today. This is wet cement. And I can decide what I put here, and I don't have to allow the past to control what I put into the wet cement today. Because why? 100% rule. I'm 100% responsible for what I put into the cement today. And so you see, I have this moment. So, again, you're going to do some writing. You're going to make a list of present abilities. What are you able to do? This would be all your gifts. This would be everything you're good at. If you have nothing on that list, you're lying to yourself, you're out of touch with reality, and you need to go talk to your best friend and say, listen, what are my best gifts? And they might tell you. And in other words, some of us will say, oh, I don't have any abilities. And that's not true. You wouldn't be breathing right now. So you do. Make a list of your present passions. What do you care about? What gets you going? What stirs you? And by the way, everybody's got different passions. Some people get very passionate. My son's very passionate about human trafficking, so he's very passionate about that cause. My daughter's very passionate about education and for taking care of kids. My wife is very passionate about taking water to villages overseas who don't have clean water. Everybody can care. You can't care about everything. But God has called you to care about something. So the question, sometimes we have gotten out of touch with what we care about because we don't listen to ourselves too much. You also take a list of every present opportunity. In other words, what doors has God opened in my life? Now again, anytime we answer any of these things as zero, we're out of touch with reality because there are some opportunities. There are no little people, there are no little places, there are no little opportunities. It may be you can give a glass of water to a child next door. And Jesus said, you will not lose your reward. So the bottom line is there are opportunities for everybody. There's opportunities for the homeless guy. The homeless guy can say, I will not steal the money out of my neighbor's backpack. There's an opportunity. I will give half of my sandwich. There was, in fact, the truth. I may know the guy, Chariots of Fire, Olympic star, British. He was actually went on the mission field, captured by the Japanese. And basically what he did was he gave like half of his rice bowl away to other prisoners. But, the Prime Minister, Winston Churchill, said, listen, this guy is a British Olympic star, national hero. We can't let him die in a Japanese concentration camp. And so therefore, they used diplomacy and said, well, they make a trade. They'll give us, they're going to give the Japanese 100 captured soldiers to get back to one Olympic star. So the Japanese said, okay. And so the ambassador comes in to get Little that day. And in that same place where he was, there was a woman who was pregnant and was going to have a baby. And so what Little did, as the ambassador came in, he walked over to the pregnant woman and he took her and led her over to the ambassador. And she says, she goes, I don't. And that mother and child were taken back to England, and the baby was born safely, and they were able to be raised and taken care of. And Little died in the concentration camp. Now, if you just see somebody as a prisoner in a concentration camp, you say, what opportunities do you have? You never know what opportunities. He had opportunities every day he was given a rice bowl. He gave half of his rice away to somebody. Another person was in a concentration camp with the Nazis, and they were over there, and the barracks were full of fleas. And so one group of prisoners were at the end complaining and, cursing God, saying, God, here we are in this concentration camp. At least you could do, you would keep fleas out of here so we can get, at least not be eaten alive inside of our own barracks. God, why couldn't you give us at least that mercy? And the other side, there was a group of people, and they were praying, and they were praising God for the fleas, because the fleas were what kept the guards out of the barracks. And so the only place in the whole campus where they were safe were in the barracks, because Brother Flea, that's what they call him, Brother Flea was protecting them. You see, it's all the story. But you see, there was an opportunity. There was an opportunity to praise God in that circumstance. There was an opportunity to curse God in that circumstance. But you see, your life has you have opportunities today. You see, by the way, no, it's not like I have no choice. You're making choices. The circumstances are not choosing for you. You are choosing your response to the circumstances. So you also do a time inventory. You say, how am I using my time? See, everyone in this present moment, if you have today 24 hours. You have, if you live this week, every week that you successfully live through, you will have 168 hours. There'll be 1 week when you are, given less than that. That's the week you die. You don't get your 168 hours that week. But every other week of your life, you get 168 hours. And the question is, you see, this is something, your time is your life. And so the question is, how are you using it? Any of you ever say, I don't have the time to do the most important things? You ever have that feeling? You ever have that? I just don't, there's a lot of things I really would like to do. I just can't get them. Well, there was something that one of the people God used to teach me many things, Stephen Covey, he kind of explained, how that really works. And we're going to see how he explained it.
Elizabeth, you hold this. Very, very busy life, right?
I do.
You have a work life?
I do.
Family life as well?
Mm-hmm.
Children?
Not yet.
Not yet. What's the nature of your work assignment?
Consulting.
Consulting. Do you have a part of a firm, consulting firm?
Yes, I do. I direct an international firm.
An international firm. So you really are interfacing with all kinds of people in the firm and outside the firm.
That's right.
Do you also do direct work with the clients yourself?
That's right.
And you have a number of associates you work with all around this country and throughout the world? Starting?
Yes.
Kind of like us.
That's right.
You want a rich personal life and a rich family life and also community and so forth. Do you ever feel like you get bogged down in the thick of thin things?
Yes.
Do you ever feel like your life is kind of out of balance, out of whack?
It can be.
Do you ever feel like you're in the pounding surf? Where you just have one big wave after another knock you down, you stagger back, and then here comes another wave, then another one knocks you down to where it just kind of beats you up. Well, that might be analogous to all these little, small things that tend to fill our life. And that just little by little, they just accumulate. Now, your job, you can't go above this, is to get all those large rocks in the jar. Good luck. I'll describe each of the rocks as she puts them in. What's that one called?
Q2. Planning, preparation.
Right. Planning, preparation, prevention, and empowerment. Q2. That which is not urgent but important.
Right. Am I picking these up in any order?
Any way you want. You want to get them all in there because they're all important.
Can I move the little rocks?
Well, you have the little rocks as they are now, but you can't go above this.
Okay. Can I put this down?
Sure. Okay, the next rock she's putting in there is called relationships and family. She's trying to make it so she can get them all in there on the assumption that by moving the other ones around, it makes more space. You didn't look at that third rock you put in there. That's employment, some key employment issue, and then you put major projects here. I can't get it above there.
I haven't worked it yet.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Left one?
Yeah, that's fair.
It's not going to work.
That's called Service Community Church. Do you ever feel like this?
Yes.
How many feel like this?
Am I still going?
Yeah, you can try to get them in there. You're a hands-on person.
I am. Well. It's not very flat.
She just put down the sharpen the saw. How many frequently do that? I just don't have time today to sharpen the saw. You ever been too busy driving to take time to get gas?
This was important. We gotta get-
Vacation. Vacation's important to her.
Oh,
By moving the little things around, you might squeeze in one more of those big major things.
is that good?
It's almost. Wow, it's good. You know, if it doesn't fit, force it.
Do I have to really put all of these in here?
Well, no. You can neglect a big opportunity if you want.
No.
Here's something that's called urgent and important. It's a quadrant 1 thing that is blindsiding you, that it's your biggest client, that if you don't get back to that client now, you've given up your vacation.
No.
And you have no special block of time just for yourself. You have no young children. I'll tell you what you can do if you want to. You can take a whole different approach. You have a totally fresh bowl. You can work out of a different paradigm altogether. You can do anything you want.
So I can use that bucket. That's what you're saying?
Anything, yeah.
Well, then I'd rather put these in the bottom. And then pour the little pebbles on top. Vacation.
Okay, she has sharpening the saw, planning, preparation,
Spouse,
spouse,
vacation,
employment,
big opportunity,
big opportunity,
important and urgent, block of time, community, church. Those young children keep looking at me. Glad my husband's not here. No, I don't. Leave him there.
okay? You got all the important things in first, right?
That's right.
That's great.
What did she do? How did she get all the big things in her life? You want to hit the lights? Yeah. How did she get all the big things? Yeah.
But she did first things first. What's the important things? Put that in first.
Right.
Those other things were, they
Right.
could fit around the
Yeah,
big
right,
things.
right.
But you needed to know what was the important thing.
Right. You have to define, first of all, you're going to do a time inventory. How are you using your current time? You have 100 hours. You spend 100, I make it 100 hours because I'm giving you 68 hours to sleep and just do basic survival needs. And also it's easier to work with 100 than 168. So you have 100 hours every single week that you invest. And you invest some of those things in work, and you invest some of those things in whatever you invest. And so you need to say, well, how am I spending those 100 hours a week? And then you have to say, well, you evaluate, well, how many hours are spent on urgent and important things? Urgent and important is it has to take place this week or the consequences would be overwhelmingly bad. Like if I don't show up for work, unemployment is bad. Okay? So I will show up for work because I don't want to be unemployed. Okay? So that is urgent and important. Okay? It has a very clear time definition and it has to be done during this week. Now, urgent and not important is something that someone else is trying to get you to do. They're putting a lot of pressure on you to do it, but it doesn't have any real major consequences. Doing it is not going to take you any closer to anything that matters to you. And the only warm fuzzy out of it is the person will let you alone. Okay, you will end nagging. And so the one big payoff is I will do something and give part of my life, because remember your hours are your life, I'll give part of my life to something I don't care about so that you won't nag me. Anyway, you can think whether or not that's a good exchange, okay? But a lot of times, or we just, yeah, there's something going on here, but you know, if you didn't do it, it wouldn't be, but we kind of give an urgency. Oh my goodness, my favorite show is on TV. I've got to rush through traffic at 80 miles an hour so I can go see it. Really? Really? So you see, we make things urgent, but they're not really important. Then what happens, this is called the tyranny of the urgent. We have a tendency to run over here like a major little mouse in a cage, and we run and we run and we run and we run and we run, and we get tired. How many people get tired? Yeah, we get tired. So what we do, we go to quadrant 4, and this is our not urgent and not important stage. Yes?
Can you back up to the non-urgent and important?
The urgent, well, I'm going to go there last, actually. So that's what quadrant 2. We'll go there last. So the thing is that here is where we get our amusement. Now, amusement is made up of 2 words. A, when you put A in front of a word in English, what does that normally mean? Anyone know that? If you have A, if your word starts with A and it's this type of thing, what does that many times mean in English? Anyone know? Yeah, it's a negative, right? It's not. No. Now, musing. What is musing? Anyone muse? What is a muse? It's deep thinking. So musing means don't think. That's what amusement is. I'm turning off my brain. Okay, this is my no brain time. This is a no-brainer. Now, there is a place where we do that. However, beware, this is where our less than intelligent decisions are sometimes made. Because when you turn off your brain, making decisions is dangerous. Okay? So the vices, abuse of drugs, alcohol, irrational sexuality, many times are being used here in order to deal with the tension of the tyranny of the urgent. Then there's this other area. It's not urgent, but it's very important. Give me an example of something that you would say, there's no deadline on it, but it's really a very important thing to have in life. Anybody give me an example of that? Something very important, you would value it a great deal, but yeah, there's no deadline on it. Your health. Yeah. So, and what could you do for your health? What actions could you take to do for your health? Diet and exercise, right? And dieting takes some planning and how you cook, and exercise takes some time, and so on. So what normally happens is, which is more likely to happen, we end up at a fast food place where we spend 2 hours producing a nutritious meal.
Thank you for choosing to be part of the Wise Living Water podcasts with Dr. Norman Wise. We hope these podcasts serve as a source of inspiration and enlightenment as we grow in our faith together. Our content is designed to offer wisdom, encouragement, and guidance for those seeking a deeper connection with their faith. Whether you're just beginning your spiritual exploration or have been on this path for years, there's something here for everyone. If you have any comments or suggestions about today's message, please send an email to wiselivingwaterchannel@gmail.com.